Hey John, great job. Looks like the lap was really good. Again, it's hard to nail the lap. I think also the track and the car looks like it's just hard to get the most out of it. Sorry. But yeah, we'll get into it. I think I think you did a lot of the big chunks, a lot of big differences in your driving as well. So hats off for applying some of the changes. That's not always so easy to do. Um, I think, yeah, it's little bits here and there. Another thing is the track looked a little damp actually, so um, maybe if the track was drier, there's a bit more pace just in track conditions as well. So yeah, we'll get into it. Starting with turn one, line and your brake point look good, but the point I'll talk about is just from the turn in to the apex. I think you hold on to the brake just a little bit too high of a pressure, which just overslows the entry a bit. And I think you did that to set up for turn two, which I think is good, but I think there's more lap time. I think it's a trade-off. There's one speed trace is going to look, like this for turn two, and the other one will probably look sort of like that. So you gain here by carrying more speed across the apex, but you lose, on this bit of the exit after turn two, and it'll just be a trade-off. But I think there is a bit less of a compromise that you could do to gain some speed in turn one. So if we just let it play through. So yeah, you're just you've got a little bit more racetrack, and you're able to kind of open it back up. And I think just that little bit of brake pressure right here between here and here of just kind of letting the car roll a bit, just to give you a bit more speed across the apex. Could be a little bit of lap time. Turn two looks good. Like your lift looks much better than the last time. Turn three, I prefer this line, but it is a bit early on the turn in. So try to just delay that turn in just a bit. But I think it's better than before because of how much speed you're able to carry, between your brake and your minimum speed, which is probably here. So I think your approach is perfect. I think when you pick up the throttle, you pick it up pretty aggressively and you have to kind of back out. So I think the only tweak I would say is a little bit later turn in, but then when you go back to power, be patient to let the car get rotate, and then squeeze the throttle in sort of one motion. So that sort of like wiggle there, just try and be super smooth with it, and just as a reference, just to try and once you go to throttle, try never to come back out. Turn five, line looks good, but try to get the downshift done a bit sooner on the entry. So I think that was downshift there, and just kind of upset the exit a bit. And I think you could maybe use that downshift to your advantage, kind of going in this sort of area to help the rotation a bit, because those higher revs are going to help the car to rotate just a little bit more, and then help you to get out of the corner with a bit more rotation. So ideally, you're kind of getting on power with the car kind of pointed. This is going to look exaggerated from the lines, but just as a reference, you're going to want to be a bit more like the red. Just let it get a little bit more rotated before you go to throttle, because you see it kind of takes off and you're going to have to hesitate just a bit on throttle. Turn six looks really good. Yeah, this is six. I think just if it's something you want to try experimenting with for the medium and high speed stuff, sometimes staying off the curbs helps the platform of the car, just to help the all four corners kind of work a bit better. So I don't know if it upset the car for you, but if it did, then maybe experiment with staying off as well. This looked really good. Really good approach. Nice long light brake. Really getting back to power really well. So that you nailed 7. And then the S's. So your line looks good. You nailed the line. I think last time you overshot the first one. But you really get the car placed very well. The one thing I would like to try would be carrying the higher gear. So it sounds like you downshift and then you upshift again. Downshift. Then you upshift again there. And then you carry that through. So trying to carry the higher gear through the whole thing, just to help be a bit smoother. And I think for these sort of corners, if I'm between gears, I always pick the higher one for this sort of section, because it just allows you to, the speed will just roll easier. And it's something that, every time you lift, when you have the lower gear, every time you lift, the car's, that engine braking is slowing you down. So it's, when you look at the data, the speed is always dropping each time you lift or make a speed adjustment. It's hard to stay consistent and smooth, where the higher gear is just going to be easy to roll the speed and keep that rhythm. And then you don't have to worry about taking your hands off the wheel or downshifting or upsetting the car like that. You can just focus on your pedals and your feet and your hands. And yeah, I think that'd be just something interesting to try. Yeah, so good job getting to the back of that curve and setting up this last bit. And then 15 looked good. And 16 looked better as well, like how you carried the speed across and you let it rotate. A little bit like, maybe you could experiment with not compromising quite as much in 15 for 16, but just because 16 is so long, you can probably, it doesn't matter so much on the setup, but it's probably a give or take, not so much that time there. And then the last corner, basically, I think everything looks good. Everything you're doing looks good. But the only thing is the downshift seems to be upsetting the car again. So it's just really, causing a lot of, the engine has so much torque in that gear, and it just seems like it upsets the car balance there. It's not doing one thing smoothly. Where I thought the car was kind of making its rotation nicely in the higher gear. And again, maybe just trying the higher gear there of rolling it in, using the brake to rotate the car, and getting the car pointed and getting back to power. Because again, when you get back to power with so much torque, it kind of jolts the car and you kind of have to lift again, and it's not super smooth. And it kind of induces some understeer as well, because it sort of sits down and pushes on. So yeah, trying the higher gear there as well. If not, trying to do the downshift earlier again, earlier in the corner, maybe over here somewhere, and that way you kind of have an idea of where your how the torque is going to come in, and as you're squeezing the throttle, instead of downshift and then trying to go to full power in one go, and just it didn't look super consistent. So trying that higher gear again, I guess, would be my thing. But yeah, again, that's really all I had from looking at it. In the S's, there's a little bit just on over exaggerating those late apexes. So it was a little bit late on some of those, but I think focusing on a little bit of lap time in turn 1, I think, from getting off the brake sooner, turn 3 from being smooth on throttle. I think in general, still focusing on letting the car get rotated before going to power. So 3, 5, 18, those places, just how you get to full power in one go. And then the S's, I think trying the higher gear could actually be quite a bit of lap time if it works out. Anyway, thanks again for the video. Hopefully this is helpful. I don't think there's not another 3 seconds in it, especially in those conditions. So yeah, good job, and yeah, hopefully it's helpful. Have a good weekend. Thanks, John. Bye.